Hey everyone, Yoshio here from Japan. I'm currently 77 years old. Wait, did you just picture a frail old grandpa? Sorry to burst your bubble. In my mind, I'm still living like I'm 53. My body might disagree, but when it comes to a youthful spirit, I won't lose to anyone. Right now, I'm converting a Nissan Caravan into a camper van all by myself. Insulation, wiring, solar, auxiliary batteries, almost all of it is a first-time experience for me. Man, DIY is an absolute blast. But there's one thing about electrical DIY that scares me the most, and that is fire. Thick, heavy-duty cables run through the van, and a massive lithium battery is sitting right there. One wrong move, and you lose everything in a split second, whether you're on the road or at home. That's why I'm supposed to prioritize safety over convenience or charging speed. Notice how I said supposed to? Sounds a bit ominous, doesn't it? Hehe. I installed a massive LiFePO4 battery in my van, packing over 400 amp hours. It runs the fridge, the microwave, the lights, you name it. It's basically a moving castle. And to blast charge this beast of a battery while driving, I bought a popular 50 amp DC to DC charger. This clever little device manages both solar and alternator charging all in one. On a 12-volt system, it theoretically pumps out over 600 watts of charging power. That's a whopping 50 amps, folks. It was getting rave reviews on Japanese YouTube, and the ratings were sky high. If everyone's using it, it's got to be good, right? That's what I believed, and I bought it with a huge smile on my face. And when I actually took it for a spin, I was blown away. It was hitting around 680 watts just from driving. I was like, wow, incredible. This was the best purchase ever. Watching the juice pour into that massive battery, I was absolutely on cloud nine, pure satisfaction. Little did I know I was about to fall from heaven straight down to hell. In Japan, we have a saying, every rose has its thorn. This charger looked incredibly attractive at first, but its thorn turned out to be sharper than I ever imagined. It had been about a month and a half since the installation. Since the van is still a work in progress, I had only driven about 100 kilometers total, just moving it once or twice a month. That's when I noticed something strange. It had been 5 hours, no, closer to 6 hours, since I shut off the engine, and yet the red LED light indicating DC charging was still glaring ominously. Wait, why is that red light still on? The engine was off. The van was completely asleep, yet the charger was buzzing away, looking like it was working an overnight shift alone without getting paid any overtime. I wanted to tell it, hey buddy, you can take a break now, you know, but the light wouldn't go out. The engine was dead, but the charging indicator kept going. Okay, something is seriously wrong here. So, I pulled out my multimeter to check the voltages. The main starter battery was around 12.6 volts, but on the output side, going from the charger to the auxiliary battery, it was somehow reading about 13.6 volts. The engine had been off for over 5 hours, yet the output voltage was higher. This wasn't just a glitch with the indicator light. His was proof that the charger was up to something and still actively running. Armed with these test results, I consulted an AI and sent the data over to the seller and the manufacturer. Their response was just one sentence. This is not a malfunction, it's working as intended. Wait, what? You're telling me it's not broken? Wow, I was truly speechless. I guess people have different ways of thinking around the world. Look, I'm no electrical engineer, but I could not wrap my head around how keeping a high current pathway connected for over 5 hours, while the engine is off and the van is parked, is considered normal. What scared me even more was that right after reporting this, the manufacturer didn't issue any warnings like stop using it immediately or disconnect the cables for your safety. Instead, they just asked me for more troubleshooting steps. I was like, hey, I'm not your guinea pig. This isn't some tiny USB charger. This is critical equipment connected to the core of the vehicle. What if it catches fire? So I took matters into my own hands, ripped out the cables, and completely shut down the system. Of course, I'm sure many people use this exact same product without any issues, and I'm not denying that. But what I want to share is this: popularity and safety for your specific vehicle are two completely different things. Maybe I was just blinded by the magic of that big 50 amps number. So I went back to the drawing board and studied charging systems from scratch. When I looked into what professional Japanese camper van builders use, I found out they were using 30 amp class units from manufacturers I'd never even heard of. Wait, why downsize instead of going for 50 amps? When I learned the reason, I was blown away again. It's not just about pushing as much current as possible. It's about the generation characteristics of Japanese cars, the load on the alternator, and the professional wisdom of subtraction to make equipment last long and run safely. Man, that was a huge lesson for me. And as I watched more international van life videos, I noticed a certain blue device popping up everywhere. They're DC to DC chargers, they're solar controllers, all bright blue. Why is everyone overseas recommending this blue gear? I dug into it and found Victron Energy, a highly trusted brand used in RVs, boats and off-road rigs worldwide. What makes it so great? It lets you isolate your systems. Instead of relying on an all-in-one unit, you let dedicated devices handle DC charging and solar charging separately. When the sun is out, the solar controller does its job. When you start the engine, the DC charger takes over. Each one silently does its own thing. Compared to an all-in-one unit, you end up with more gear and more wiring. And the price tag, well, it ended up being more than double the cost of that first 50 amp all-in-one charger. They say safety first, but man, reality can be tough on the wallet. Just looking at the numbers, that first 50 amp all-in-one unit seems like the winner. But instead of forcing a massive amount of power into the system all at once, I chose reliability, knowing that each component can work steadily without pushing its limits for a long time. Reaching my destination safely, sleeping peacefully in the van, and having the engine start without a hitch the next morning. That matters way more to me. The swap to the new system is complete, and so far it's running beautifully. That said, my camper van isn't finished yet, and I haven't even gone on a real trip with it. From here on out, through blistering heat and freezing cold, I'll be putting it through its paces on long-distance drives to truly test it. Even at 77 years old, I still manage to fail spectacularly like this. This mistake dented my wallet a bit, but considering I caught it before a fire broke out, I guess you could call it cheap tuition, or a deposit on my life. Safety over big numbers, reliability over low prices, and never ever ignore an anomaly you don't understand. Wow, I really learned a lot. I'm going to keep building this Nissan Caravan with my own hands, piece by piece, keeping safety as my absolute top priority. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. This was Yoshio from Japan.